this worked out really well. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the weekly Generation Zero dev stream. I'm Carney, community manager, as you can see with my nice new name tag. Which direction is she? I think this one? Yeah, this one. That's Ash, lead game designer, who is joining me today on stream, and I'm so happy to have her. Hello, Ash.
Hello, how are we doing?
Please.
How's the running chat going?
I hope well. Let me know about the audio levels, please. I know those can be challenging at times, but I'm always glad for feedback. How's everybody doing? I hope you're having an amazing week so far. We are very busy here at Systemic Reaction with the PlayStation Plus activation and preparing patches and, you know, the usual game dev stuff. But it's actually beautiful weather in Stockholm right now, so I think we're all having a good time.
I feel like it's trying to make it up to me, like just right at the end for not having had a summer.
Yeah, I think so too.
I was complaining, and so I think it's decided to be like, okay, she can have a little bit of warm just at the end.
Ash is loud. Okay, let us fix
that.
Okay,
good to know.
1 second, please.
Because normally I'm
too quiet. All right, let's try that again. Oh no, what happened? Now I can't hear her anymore. Help. Hello? Uh-oh. I think I broke it. That's not good. Ash is on mute indeed, yeah, but I can't hear her anymore either, so I don't know what happened there. I can still hear the gaming PC though, so that's good. Good job. Yeah, I know. It wouldn't be a dev stream without technical difficulties now, would it? We just want to stick to what we're used to. It was good. Don't touch. Great. Yeah, you should have you should have said that earlier. But you can still hear me, right, Ash? You can nod. Okay, good. Ah. Help. Okay. Okay, I can hear you I can hear you shooting in game. So being silenced. No. I'm not trying to silence anyone. We hear everyone. Hello, Azure, how's it going? I can't hear you, Mile High Hippie, on on Twitch, but I think I'm not supposed to. I tried turning it off and on again, you know, I thought about it. I don't think that's the way. What happened? Oh my god. This is the worst. I just start unplugging stuff and plugging it back in. That's always a good idea, right? Can we get IT in? Oh lord.
keep saying nonsense.
Ah, you're back. Oh my god, I fixed it. I did it. Did you swear? No, we didn't hear it.
I'm trying my best. I'm trying so hard. It's culturally difficult for me.
It's okay.
It's my background.
We didn't hear it. Okay, now I can turn you up in here.
Cool.
All right.
Okay. All right. Well.
Yay! We're back. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
now we can get started. All right. So. Oh, we already got questions. Oh no.
Do we already have questions?
Yeah, we already. First question: there are other Swedish assault rifles, as you guys know. Any plan to add them to the game? Love those questions.
I mean, so one of the interesting things is like me coming into to as lead designer for GZ is partially because like part of the reason I'm coming is because I have a fairly unique background in making things in like when there's not a lot of resources available, or if you have like weird technical problems that you have to work around. So like because the game's coming on a slightly older engine means that like we have to work around things a lot. So that's why I'm here. I don't know anything about guns. And so I do know that we have a big spreadsheet of guns, of like we could, these are all the ones that I don't know. I mean, it might be all the guns that exist in the world. I don't know, but it's got lots of information about the guns and where they come from and what they do and how they work and which ammo they use and all these sorts of things. And we have other designers on the team who know lots about these things. And so whenever these things like when we talk about like releasing new weapon pack DLCs and stuff like that, I'm like, cool, you guys who know about guns, you handle that. But I'm sure that big that big spreadsheet does have, I imagine, all the different Swedish rifles, because it has lots of things, and the people who know about this stuff on the team know a lot about it. And they pay a lot of attention to it. So I imagine that is the case. One of the things to remember though is that we do try to make sure that like we don't want there to be like 12 assault rifles and 4 machine guns, right? We want to make sure that like, and so there's a thing that happens where there are more of certain types of guns in the world and there are less of other ones, right? There's more kinds of assault rifles than there are grenade launchers, as far as I understand. so like if we were to just go on like what exists, it would kind of get boring in that way. But at the same time, yeah, we want to make like, especially the Swedish stuff. We were like, yeah, cool, like let's sweet it up to the max. 62. I need 7.62 ammo.
I think I can drop you some. I'm not using any at the moment.
Great, because I apparently on this save, I'm playing on my personal save today, on my like, and that one I like doesn't have as much stuff because it's only because I didn't want to accidentally have stuff that we're not allowed to show on stream. It's also the one that's like how much I played before I started working, so it is a little bit what
your non-dev cheats safe.
Exactly. Yeah, like a lot of the time when we're like, I'm terrible at shooters.
Oh yeah, me too. People can see that every week.
and like part of the reason, and part of the thing is that like that means that like we have some of the designers are like real good at shooters and they talk about like compensating on the controller or the mouse for the like for the recoil on the gun, and I'm like, I don't know how you do that because I can't do that sort of stuff. So like we get them to handle a bunch of that stuff, and then we use me to test to make sure that things aren't too hard, right? But like if I can't do it on the easiest difficulty setting, then it's just too hard, and we need to fix that, right? that's our bar.
It's an amazing way of testing stuff. Cesar wants you to know that you have lovely hair. And
thank you, Cesar. I got it done for Pride.
Nice.
Which is in August. I always, because like I tend to let it go for a long time, and then Pride is always my reminder of like, you need to fix your hair. So
it's a good occasion.
Exactly.
I think we have quite a few questions there.
Great.
Can you look into the game crashing? Yes, we're looking into it.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, game crashes are such a thing because like it's a game that is 4 years old, and we keep adding stuff to it, and every time we add a new feature, that makes the code more complicated and more messy. And so like it's a delicate balance of like, okay, how many features can we get out and how much development can we do without completely making it a buggy mess and getting kicked off of the consoles. Because if there are too many, and like for instance, that's part of the reason that we did that the update that we just put out was a stability focus, because we wanted to make sure that, like, as we got the PlayStation Plus, we were like, okay, well, we want to make sure that like the console players we don't have a bunch of PlayStation Plus players join us and have a bunch of crashes.
Yeah.
So.
But of course, there are crashes left, and
that's
an unfortunate truth.
Yeah, that is just going to be. Is this for me?
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
I didn't have as much as I thought, but I dropped everything I had.
That's so much. I appreciate it. Do I have? Oh, I'm playing with the controller today, and I keep firing instead of opening the menu. So if I accidentally am firing, it's because I'm trying to open the menu. Cool. Excellent. Where is my companion?
It's an interesting question. Oh yeah, you should have a companion. Or did you unlock it on this one?
I'm trying to work out. I can't remember if I've unlocked it on this play. Yes, cool. Assign to slot. Oh, but I don't. You know what though? My personal account doesn't have the companion accessories pack, so it's not bright pink.
No.
My poor companion.
We'll fix it next time you're on stream.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a big deal. It's fine.
Oh, it looks cool though. It has the Phoenix skin on it. It looks cool.
Yeah.
All right, now the two doggos can vibe with each other.
And it's got its name there, Duchess Turbo Claw. So.
Yes. All right. I think this is a good question. I'm also curious. The first part of the question is, what was the main objective when designing the companion?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. So I think this is because this kind of like gives a lot of insight for kind of like some of the logic here. So when the game was first being designed and being built, when you're building a video game as a team, one of the things that's really good to do is to establish your pillars. These are our goals. This is what, and you want them to be easy to remember, short phrases that then kind of so that like when people, especially your designers, are designing stuff, they can go, oh man, should this laser sword instantly kill, or should it just do a little bit of hit points? And you go and you look at it and you think, oh well, you know, we have a pillar that says, for example, superhero power, right? And so then I'm like, okay, cool. Then I should probably make it instant kill, right? And it helps you kind of understand and make decisions that are going to be consistent across the game. And one of our pillars when we were building the game was one called joint struggle, right? And we really did, like, we knew that it was going to be single player optional, but we kind of wanted, like, all of our promotional art has like from the original release has a team, right? It like we were aiming for co-op as a fairly core component, which is and then also one of the other ones is suspenseful discovery. So this thing of like exploring the big open scary world, and we kind of didn't expect we kind of didn't expect the single player to be as popular as it is. But the result is that when you're playing single player, you can get a little lonely. You can feel a little bit. So that's part of why we introduced Therese and Pontus in the in the opening there. And then that's also part of the like design logic for the companion. So we wanted to make sure that it was useful and that like it was that like, you know, it was worth having out. We also didn't want it to be something that you needed to have, right? If you didn't want to have the companion, we didn't want you to feel like it was going to be a bad tactical decision to not have it. Jiminy Cricket. Who was shooting me?
Yeah, I triggered bigger combat than I was prepared for. Really, I thought it was
Wonderful.
just a couple of seekers, but now it's a tank and a few hunters.
You thought that anything was ever just a couple of seekers? Like,
Kinda,
like
yeah.
they exist to bring other things.
Yeah, I would,
Oh,
sometimes
there
they're
you are. Oh, I'm getting wrecked.
sometimes they're out of reach for other machines, but not this
Yeah.
time.
But yeah, so we had this problem of like it's supposed to be joint struggle. It's supposed to feel like a team thing, and we've got this problem where people feel lonely when they're playing. So when we were doing our design, the first and most important priority was that it feel friendly and that it kind of removes that loneliness. And then we were like, okay, cool. What are the other, like, obviously it can shoot and help you in combat and all those things because but those, like, one of my most, probably the most important part of my job as lead designer, right? Like, I actually don't end up doing much design. I spend a lot of time telling people, like, and helping people work out what the priorities are, right? So, for instance, the pet the dog emote was super hard to do. Used a lot of people hours, which is expensive, and there was a bit of like, do we really need it? Like,
yes, we do.
The shooting, it's got the cool modules. It does, we've got all this stuff. So, like, and it's going to be really like it's going to take a lot of Yoho's time to do the pet the dog emote, and we might not even be able to do it, and it might end up being a waste of time. Oh my god, am I dead? I'm not dead.
I don't think so. No.
I'm dead now. But because we had identified, okay, like the need for feeling a relationship with this, and feeling like it is there to keep you company and that you care about it, meant that we were like, okay, cool. Well, then that's our top priority. So, like, if it means that, for instance, we have to sacrifice other features to be able to get this this thing in, and in fact, part of the reason that that you have to use a separate menu screen to craft the armor is because we ran out of time to put it into the same screen, right? So we just copied the existing crafting screen and we used that. But like part of that is because we really needed to prioritize like what's most important.
It's interesting, yeah.
So,
and also it's not too much of a hindrance to do that.
No, I mean, like, I would like to fix it as soon as we can, but it's because, like, it's not pretty, right? Like,
yeah.
It's an ugly solution, and I really like things to be elegant and as little pain for the player as possible. But we were like, okay, cool, like being able to have a name for the companion is more important than having these be in the same screen, because the name helps you feel connected emotionally.
Yeah, that's a very good answer.
So that kind of gives you an insight into like what the design goals were, as far as what we were trying to do.
Yeah, and the point about prioritizing,
the whole thing, right?
Inventories. Like, yeah, exactly. That's what this all is about.
And unfortunately, like we're all stuck in capitalism, and, and like we have to kind of like have to be able to make a certain amount of profit with like as little resources as possible. So we are always choosing our battles. I like to think
true.
That is, you know what? Do I have a grenade? I'm pretty sure I have a grenade launcher here somewhere.
Pretty sure I have a rocket launcher here. Let's.
Oh yeah.
You know what? Oh, there. Oh. Mm-hmm.
All
Oh,
right.
there's a harvester here. I didn't even see it.
Yes. Yeah. No. It's a little bit hairy. Which one were we at? We're at the
There,
port
I'm right
complex.
next to the harvester now.
I'm gonna respawn at the port complex and go and make myself some first aid kits.
I'm just gonna cuddle with the harvester here. Nothing
Love,
dangerous here.
love to cuddle a harvester.
Hmm?
Uh,
I'm fine. Don't worry about it. Ah.
I mean, you started this fight, man.
I did. I really underestimated the scale of this whole operation. Are there any plans to improve the multiplayer game lobby? Well, yes.
Oh,
I think we already kind of covered that in the, the things that we would like to do at all times.
yeah. The multiplayer game lobby is particularly tricky because it requires because the Apex Connect team and the people who handle online services are a different team to the main developer team.
Yes.
So it means that anytime we want to do anything that improves on that stuff, there's a lot of we kind of have to play. It's almost like you have to write it's emails back and forward constantly, and so it makes it so slow to get those things working because like we don't have we as the GTE team have can only do certain things to fix stuff up, and then a lot of the other stuff is relying on the Apex Connect team who are trying to do the multiplayer stuff and online stuff for like 5 or 6 games. I don't know how many it is at the moment.
It's
it's not a small number.
5 live games. Yeah,
Yes.
5 live games at the moment, and then of course anything that's required for those who aren't live yet. Any preparations?
So this is playable in single player, but we're currently playing multiplayer. It's just that we're also very separated from
Not the shoulder cannon. Oh, he missed. The shoulder cannon scares me. It's a bane of my existence in this game.
You know how we were like, hey, let's go and hang out in the mountains because it's it's a place that all of us haven't spent a lot of time in.
Yeah. We're just gonna discover some.
Now that it's also really hard to get around because it's mountains.
Got this runner, and I think we're done. It's pretty quiet. There's some ticks left.
Uh-huh.
I think we're good. We're in the clear. Right, another question. We have time for another question before the next fight.
Yeah, until these two rivals come and kick our asses.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're not gonna mess with them right now. Maybe later.
No.
Are there chances of crossovers with other machine-killing franchises like Terminator or RoboCop? I love that.
I mean, it can't be it's not going to be an official crossover, but we did do some vanity packs that had tie-ins with other with some classic 80s films. And we just made sure that we didn't say any of their names to avoid getting in trouble for copyright.
Yeah, we do have references to quite a few 80s pop culture.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of
classics.
A lot of little Easter eggs and things, and obviously mission names and things like that are a great opportunity to make a pop culture reference or a pun.
Oh, this is just a seeker floating around. Don't worry, I'll just start another combat. No.
Oh, you. Oh
Aha.
no, I've got the background blurred out. Panic has said Attack of the Furbies, and I've actually got my little Furby
Nice.
set
Can't
up
forget the
here.
Furby.
Because it's my home assistant for like if I want to turn the lights on or things like that.
Others have an Alexa. Ash has a Furby.
Yeah, I built it myself. I'm pretty proud of it. I mean, like I didn't build the Furby. I took the Furby's skin off,
Oh no.
pulled it apart, and then put a Raspberry Pi inside it and hooked it up. The inside of it is a horrifying mess of wires badly soldered together.
Do not try this at home, everyone.
No,
For
no,
your own safety and your visitors, please.
yeah.
This was done by a professional.
I'm absolutely not a professional in electronics.
You're a professional at something.
I'm definitely a professional at something. High elevator processor.
Are there plans for a Generation Zero too? You know, I think we'll get Generation Zero done first.
I think
and
the
then we'll
biggest
start.
problem we have with a sequel is like before we can start working on it, we have to work out what it would be called. Because like, what can we do? We call it Generation 1? Do we call it Generation Alpha? Do we call it Generation -1?
There have been many suggestions over the years.
Yeah.
We had 0.5.
Yeah.
-1. Generation Infinity. Some games do that where they switch from numbers to infinite or infinity.
Generation 360.
360 no scope.
X.
Yeah, it's quite the process. So once we get a good suggestion for that, we'll start thinking about a sequel.
I also don't know what you would do, right? Like Generation 0 is so specific, right? And like that's part of the reason that people enjoy it, right? Is that it's such a like specific setting and a specific tone. Like Sweden in the 80s is like has a very specific feel, very moody. And I feel like if we were to be like, oh yeah, Sweden in the mid 90s and you know Nirvana is playing and everyone's wearing flannel shirts, I'm not sure it works.
You know, you're kind of selling this to me right now. I don't. I'm not even gonna discriminate against that version.
Part of it for me is that like I wasn't alive in the 80s. I was born in 88. I remember the 90s, so it doesn't seem that interesting to me. Like the 90s, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember like how silly the 90s were.
I was born at the end of the 90s, so maybe
so maybe
you for me now.
The person who's telling us what what were the cool stuff about the 90s that like because I can't work out what were the cool things about the 90s because I'm just like, oh well, it was all just right. Alanis Morissette was just that's
crossover when
I'm gonna get myself a little moped. Also,
I've run out of shotgun ammo.
I
might have started another fight, by the way. I don't.
Oh, dope!
I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden.
I'm gonna put my blinds down because
it
is getting on the screen. And I can't see what I'm doing.
I was wearing flannel shirts in the late 80s. Oh, trendsetter then.
Alright. Now the game is Find Connie.
Yeah, I'm buried in a mountain of hunter bodies.
Instantly wrecked myself on the moped. Like 2 seconds of driving before I was like, oh no, I'm stuck.
I have run out of ammo. Great. Improvise. I'll pull out my improvised 50 caliber sniper rifle.
I was gonna say, like, don't you have like Uh,
600 rounds of 50 cal ammo? Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all improvised. On the spot. Crafted. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with still wearing flannel shirts. Flannel shirts are great.
Oh, flannel
Also,
shirts
I
are great.
just noticed I can't pronounce the word flannel shirts. Yes.
Let's try and get Scottish people to say purple burglar alarm. Can't do it.
Purple burglar alarm.
Yeah. But like, yeah, no, I'm a big fan of flannel. Like, I'm a lesbian. I love flannel shirts.
Oh, I should probably get rid of the radio beacons. Maybe they stop spawning then. I've been fighting them for 5 minutes.
Mate, buddy.
I just had this stroke of genius where I think maybe I should prevent it from calling in more enemies.
Look, I'm not gonna... I'm not going to criticize your methods. You probably have a reason for doing things.
Absolutely, yes. There's a hidden reason to the madness. I just can't explain it right now.
Manic, I absolutely believe you. That you definitely can say that. I know that Limmy tried to say it on stream once and was like, oh yeah, I can say that, that's fine, and then couldn't, and it was very funny.
Yeah, those tongue twisters are something I struggle with on a weekly basis whenever I stream. There's at least one thing that I discover I can't pronounce per stream, I find. There's always something different. Always something new. Ow. He hit me with that flechette gun. That one hurts.
Pardon me, sorry. One of the interesting things about being an Australian moving to Sweden is that you have to learn to say the other kind of R.
Yes.
You have to learn to say the tongue R rather than the lip R. Which was because otherwise you can't say Swedish words.
You struggle with the R more than with the special vowels and all of that?
So I feel like the special vowels are not too rough. Especially like I was saying to a friend who's American, I said, oh, well, like the A with the 2 dots over the top.
Yeah.
Right. The A.
The A. Yeah.
Versus the A without anything over it, the R, is easy because it's the difference between can and can't. And then I realized I was talking to American where those are the same sound.
Can and can't.
Can and can't. And I was like, that doesn't work for you, right? Sorry.
Can you imagine an imaginary menagerie manager managing an imaginary menagerie? But those are just 3 different words repeated. I guess maybe 4.
Yeah.
You just have to know how to pronounce them. I guess that's the difficult part of that.
Yeah, and then there are some tongue twisters that are just your ability to not get lost along the way and lose your place.
Another interesting thing about Swedish pronunciation is the habit there of putting the tongue against the back of your front teeth when saying any E sounds.
E, yeah. For me, that feels like the difference between the Y and the I.
The back of your front teeth?
Yeah. Alveolar. It's an alveolar.
I don't even know how to do that. Putting the tongue against the back of your front teeth is like E.
It's not the tip of your tongue. It's just after the tip of your tongue, so your tongue ends up curling around a little bit. I'm the kind of nerd that in high school she wrote her own fictional language. So like, I'm like, yes, a post-alveolar fricative, or stuff like that.
E.
And then there are some Stockholm accents. There's a thing that like there's a certain not Stockholm, but there's certain Swedish accents, especially that a lot of women have, that where they are kind of like swallowing a lot of the sounds. Is they're kind of said half in the back of the throat.
Oh, do you mean the leading a E?
Yeah.
The E. Yeah.
Um,
I don't touch my teeth when I do that.
yeah. Well, the thing is that like everyone like
Interesting.
there are so many ways to make these sounds, which is really interesting.
Yes,
But
yes,
um,
yes.
is
All
it
right.
the specific version of the Swedish of the specific Swedish accent always makes me like just be like worried, being like, "Are you about to cry?" Right? Like, "Are you okay?" And, no, you're fine. That's just how they talk. But I like it makes me worried every time.
That is a funny one. By the way, Harriness, the other chap, I think you're referring to Pontus, and he does not work at the company anymore. So if you're expecting him to come back,
Oh,
I don't think that'll happen. Just for your information, because he said the other chap who does these streams. It's the chap who used to do these streams. We miss him dearly here.
yep.
That's very Stockholmish. We don't do that here on the West Coast. That's funny because I heard that the Stockholmers picked this thing up when they were on vacation in the countryside.
It might be things that
And
like
the
they did
farmers
that
did
years
that.
ago, and no one does it in the countryside anymore. So
Yeah, it's only the Stockholmers now.
yeah.
Right, I need to craft some repair kits so I can get my companion back. And then I need to craft some ammo.
I mean, if your companion's out, then I would suggest going to a safe house so that you can put some armor on them.
Yes, I could do that.
Because like,
But I think I need to repair it first.
no, putting armor on your companion instantly repairs it.
Oh my god, I did not know that. Fun
We
fact.
we like the armor and repair system for the companion is like very specifically designed that like you should put armor on them, go out, kill some stuff, and then it'll probably die after a while, and then you don't have access to it really until you go back to a safe house, right? The reason that the repair kit that you can repair it with repair kits is so that you can access its inventory, and if you want it to do like if you have the modules, then you can use those. But like if you're putting repair kits on it in the field and then going out to fight again, it's going to go down again instantly, right?
Yeah.
They.
I always forget to put armor on.
Let me try. Say again.
I always forget to put armor on. That's my problem.
Oh, your poor companion.
Yes, it is naked and afraid in the Swedish wilderness.
Yeah.
Why did Pontus leave? I do not know, but I know that video game companies have very high turnover, so it's extremely normal for people to just leave after, a year or two. I don't know how long Pontus exactly was at the company. I think he was there for 3 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, the longest
very
I've ever
normal.
stayed at, well, the longest I've ever stayed at one company was like 2.5 years because
You've already been here for what, 8 months now?
6 months.
6 months.
6 months.
All right, so we got another 2 years of having you.
Well, I mean, like I would happily hang around longer. It's just that I mean, part of the thing is that like in games, like a lot of the rest of the tech industry and other media industries, like often your pay raises, if you want to like get a promotion and get an increased pay raise, then you usually have to go to a different company because because it's very kind of like pyramid shaped, right? Like there's not a lot of jobs to be like, for instance, I'm lead designer and there's not a lot of jobs for lead designers. So if one of my senior designers wants to become a lead, they have to either hope that Avalanche spins up another project that they can put their hand up for, or that I either move into a different role or leave. Otherwise, if they want to do that progression, they kind of have to move to a different company to be able to get that progress. So there's a sort of like unavoidable thing with the way that like teams are structured based on experience, right? That like people that the senior levels and the higher level jobs don't come up very often. So people end up having to change companies fairly often if they want to progress their careers, which is unfortunate. But I do appreciate being in Stockholm, where like if someone goes to another company, they're probably still staying in Stockholm and I can still be friends with them.
Yeah.
So like I previously worked at Star Stable Entertainment.
Very well known for
their horse MMO.
Yeah.
And I actually was on a team there with my producer for the amazing new, very ambitious, too good to be true MMO that we were building. Turns out it was absolutely too good to be true, and the money ran out. But the producer on that project was one of the previous producers for Generation Zero. When that project went south and someone said, "Oh, there's a lead designer position going on Generation Zero," I was like, "Oh, well, I know that Lauren Comp was on that team, so they can't all be terrible people."
Hello, Metallic Jellybean. Welcome to stream. Yeah, and I hope we aren't terrible people.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is there's a lovely team, and that's I think the most important thing to me, because a lot of people in the games industry, there are a lot of people in the games industry who are a little bit
it's
have high opinions of themselves.
It's an industry. That's true.
Right.
But yeah, that you know, a lot of industries have.
It's creative
have that kind of
are often like that. So, yeah.
But I think Avalanche is a very healthy environment.
Avalanche
at least
is
from
really
what I've experienced. It's a very good place to work out.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now that, by the way, I teleported away from my destroyed companion, and I crafted armor and I put it on it, and it didn't show the companion. It still showed it as dead. Only when I teleported back next to it was it revived in the spot where it originally died and walked back to me. So that's very interesting. I don't know if that's
interesting. It should. I mean, pardon me. Sorry.
I might want to clip that and let our QA team know about that.
Yes. Yeah. Grab a little video. When you've got bugs, if you can get a video recording of the bug. If you can provide the save file, if you can tell us what build number it's on, if you can tell us what you were doing, we love
that. Build number can be found in on Steam, by the way, by looking at what's it called?
It's in the bottom right-hand corner of the main menu when you first turn the game on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Turn the game on. I'm so old. I'm like, I press the power button on my PlayStation 1, and it goes, oh.
Okay.
Is this which ones have a companion station?
Yes, we are still working on the 60 FPS mode for.
Oh my god, I really wanted us to get that out for.
Yeah, me too.
FPS Plus, and then, that was heartbreaking. Because we were like, yeah, this is all working. And then once we tried to build it, so like when you're working on it, you've got like the development version, right? And then once you've got everything working, you build it you compile it. You compile all the code and everything. And then we were like, this is working. This is great in the development version. And then we went to build it, and a bunch of the libraries that we use, so like other people's software, because we're using older versions, because that was what we were using when the game was built, just absolutely threw a hissy fit, and it all just melted down. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but
so
it's the nature of game development.
Absolutely. So we got a bunch of the work done, and it's just a matter of like, when can we either update those libraries or work around it, which it turns out to be way more work than we had thought it was going to be, which is super disappointing.
we are still looking into it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's absolutely still a thing that is on the board. It's just a thing of like, I mean, like, you and I kind of talked about like how hard it is, like because we were so late getting the roadmap out this year because it's so hard to roadmap when you have these sorts of things where like the stuff that we had planned for the second half of that we originally had planned for the second half of 2023, like stuff happened. And we were like, okay, cool. Completely re-examine what we can do and what's possible. So that was fun. And so like now I'm trying to plan, trying to work out what can we actually do realistically in 2024. And it is an absolute nightmare because
No, we're not telling any of it
no,
yet.
I obviously am
We're not talking about 2024 yet.
No, absolutely not. Other than I promise that 2024 will happen.
As a year?
It will absolutely, the 2023 will end, and
Yes.
2024 will come after it.
Yeah, no guarantee that we'll be around to count it, but it'll happen.
Yep. I believe it's Year of the Dragon, which is a good time for me because I'm Year of the Dragon.
Oh, cool.
So I'm pretty hyped to be in my power as a show off and self-important person who likes to talk about themselves all the time.
It is Year of the Dragon is my second favorite Spyro game, so I'm
good,
optimistic.
Oh, Spyro. Like Spyro's world designs actually are a really good example of like the slow movement towards more like as avalanches, right? And we like one of our things that we do really well is open world stuff. And one of the things that fascinates me is seeing how games slow, because like that takes a lot of computing power and takes a lot of design and all those sorts of things. And so one of the things that fascinates me is going back through the catalog of like older games and seeing how open world games kind of evolved over time. So it's like the level design in Spyro or the game design in something like
First experimental, let's go!
Hey, nice.
Nice.
I need to drop some stuff or recycle some stuff. I am holding too many things. But like seeing how we slowly made games that were more and more open world. And then also kind of like, when does that not work, right? Like what games tried to be open world and it didn't work, or it was a bad idea, or things like that. It's really, I'm a big nerd about making video games. I don't know if you could
As
tell.
you should be.
We were joking earlier,
yes.
before the stream about how like my favorite hobby is making video games, and I do that more than playing them. And so I spend a lot of time watching Twitch streams and stuff like that, so that I can see how people play play the games they play, and researching and learning the psychology of what people are doing and stuff. And then I do a bunch of play testing.
Oh yeah.
Of stuff, but like when I go home and it's my own time, sometimes I will just chill out and watch a movie, and sometimes I will just go and make more games in my spare time. So,
it's always a good way to keep busy and keep doing stuff.
Yeah, and also the stuff that I make in my own time can be weird stuff, right?
Yeah, I can't go too weird with Generation Zero. We've got all these rules and guidelines.
I mean, like I can't put we can't just suddenly introduce a giant Furby as a boss into
Why not? Why isn't it possible?
Because that doesn't meet with our pillars. There is our pillars don't align with that, so it would feel out of place. And then and like legitimately, that's really important, because if you're making something that is just crazy wacky everything, it's much harder for people to decide, oh yeah, I'm going to play that game, because they don't know what they're going to get, right?
It's true.
And so one of the things that we really have to think about a lot is like, if players go, I'm going to play Generation Zero today, are we going to give them what they wanted, right? Or are we going to give them what? And the thing that I have to remind, especially junior designers, is: are we giving the players what they want, or are we giving the players what we wanted? And then the other thing is: are we giving the players what they want, or are we giving the players what they think they want? Because a lot of the time, players will be like, I want a rocket launcher with infinite ammunition. And we go, I could give you that, but you will have a bad time. You will stop having fun much quicker. So there's a lot of that sort of consideration as well.
And I know someone's gonna make the point that they had a lot of fun with the rocket launcher glitch, where you could fire that automatically.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna tell you now, you had fun because it wasn't intended.
Also, they would have had fun for a little while, and then they would have stopped having fun after a little while, like faster than if they had than what we're designing for, right? So like there is a lot of, when games that have a lot of grind in them, for example, are trying to make sure that you can keep having fun for as long as possible. Maybe they're not doing it very well, but that is what they're trying to do, is like make sure that they don't burn all of the novelty really quickly, right? So I talk a lot with my design team about like, how much stuff is the player how much stuff is happening for the player at the time, right? How often do we bring in something new for them to play with, something new for them to, and if you bring it all in too quickly, then it'll be overwhelming. And if you bring it in too slowly, then it's going to get boring. And so yeah, there's a real balance to be had with all of those sorts of things, which is, I don't know, what makes it like sort of fun as an art form, right? You can't just follow a specific set of steps and make something fun, right? You have to really feel it and then kind of put it in front of other people and see what their reaction is, and like, be good at the skill of watching their faces and seeing how they're feeling from that, rather than just what they say and things like that. So there's a lot of that sort of real nuance. Why am I?
Here, I placed a field radio for you. You can teleport to me, and then we can answer some more questions from this very cozy space.
Champion. Carney, when can we have better recycling?
I don't know. You're the designer. Make it.
It's on my list.
Just have Matt have a look at it.
I've just got other things we have.
I mean, how hard can it be, right? To balance an entire currency system. It can't be that hard.
I mean, one of the most annoying things about, like, once you've done economy design, and then you watch the news and anything about like economics on the news, and you just sit there being like, that's not how economies work. That's not how money works. You just get frustrated with people being like, oh yes, well, it's like if your home budget, if you had overspent. And I'm like, no, that's not how money works differently for the government. Anyway, you get, it becomes hard to, like, if you've done narrative design, it becomes hard to like read books and watch movies and things and not get annoyed with bad writing, right?
It's true. Question for Ash. Oh, this is a big one. You might wanna join me at the campfire here.
Okay, all right. Let me come over to you.
This is beautiful. I'm watching the sunrise right now.
Field radio.
It needs to go outside in real life when you have cheesy. And yes, thank you, Matt Chaser, for reminding me. But I didn't want more than 0.5 meters range with my shotgun anyway. If my bullet doesn't physically block me from walking, then I don't want it.
Just the view Like,
this is my favorite spot in the game.
yeah, absolutely. And like I've trying to work out how to make worlds this big in my, like, when I'm making stuff at home, and I can't work out how to do it. Like the level of optimization in the Avalanche engine to be able to have these massive worlds just blows me away.
So the question was, what goes into the process of implementing a new enemy?
Oh, interesting. That's really interesting for me because I'm currently talking to the team about to the design team about this because I have very different. So, like, when it comes to design, there are really very different. There are several very different ways of implementing and designing combat and enemies and all these sorts of things. And so Generation Zero has these amazing machines that have like the different organs and the armor and all of these sorts of things. And so when it comes to that, we kind of think about like, okay, like what would be an interesting combination of like movement abilities, defensive, like what would the defense look like, and like offensive abilities. And so that's and so you're trying to find interesting combinations, and ones that will so that, like, oh well, if we give the enemy something that knocks you back, and then a short range weapon that does like like for instance, we give them a knockback and a shotgun, and so then you can get the combination where you get knocked back and then get shot in the face with a shotgun,
Yeah.
right, one after the other, right? That's an interesting combination of things to have, right? I think the Firebird is really one of the best designed enemies because it has such interesting combinations of like things you have to worry about and ways that you can think about how to do it. And that's quite different to the way that you might design enemies in combat in some other games, and in other things the other things I've worked on, where in those ones it's and this part of it's to do with the speed, right? Like a lot of the stuff I've worked on has been turn-based. So when it's turn-based, it's a lot more of a puzzle, right? And being like, okay, well, I need to do this thing first, then this thing, and if I get the order wrong, it's gonna be less effective, and I'm gonna lose the fight.
Mm-hmm.
But in something that is as fast-paced and actiony as Generation Zero, we don't want to make the player think too hard about, like, we don't want them to have to be like, oh well, obviously I can't do damage to the machine gun because I haven't destroyed the this thing yet, and like we can't expect the player to be doing that much thinking because they're getting shot. And so, like, for instance, the Reaper is really the reason that the Reaper is so tough is because it has so many of those elements to consider. And then, I mean, really, the first step is work out what's the concept, right? You go, okay, cool. We want something that is, I don't know, we want something that is like a flying tick, right? But instead of jumping at you, it has it shoots something that is more like a blow dart, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we get that thing of like being light and small and dangerous because you could be coming from anywhere. But like, and each of its bullets or each of its projectiles is, a serious consideration, but they're not happening very often. And maybe the blow darts slow you down, but they don't kill you. So then you combine it with other enemies, right? And you get this kind of like, what's the feeling? And you kind of be like, okay, cool. What are the pillars? What are for the concept of this enemy? And then you work out, okay, cool. What are the interesting combinations of abilities and stuff like that makes that feeling? Whereas with the more slower sort of thing, a lot of the time you go, I've got an interesting puzzle for the combat, right? You go, what if there were an enemy that every time you did damage to it in the wrong order, it actually just made it bigger? and that's a Hydra, right? That's a Hydra in Greek mythology, and so you kind of can often come at it from the angle of being the combat puzzle first. Rival ticks. I don't know if
bigger every time you shoot them.
yeah, I mean, or make another Reaper, a tick Reaper. It's just
people have been asking for another boss type machine. I would love to see.
Absolutely, I'm aware of that.
I would love to see a tick.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if we just scale the tick model up, right? Just make it huge.
I hear it. No. Let her cook. This is good stuff.
Yep. That sounds brilliant. That it spawns lots of little baby ticks, like a mother spider.
The matriarch.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think we have plans for a hot fix at this point, Matt Chaser. Since yeah, it's hard to do.
So the thing with all those sorts of things, with like hot fixes and stuff like that, is every time we publish something, we have to get it approved by PlayStation and Xbox, by Sony and Microsoft. And so like they don't like it when we do hot fixes. Right? We are using up their time, and they turn around to us and they say, why do you need to do a hot fix? Why didn't you do it properly in the first place? And we say, because we have only a certain number of programmers and sometimes we make mistakes. But really, like if it was Steam only, that it would be a different thing. But also, we probably wouldn't still exist, right? Like none of the updates would have ever happened if we didn't have if we'd only been able to release on one platform.
Yeah, and I think Sony and Microsoft are pretty nice.
Oh, they're lovely. They're lovely.
It's not that they're evil.
No.
And they're keeping us from doing it. It's just
it's the thing that we were talking about before of like you're always caught in that middle space of like trying to do as much as you can with as little as you can.
Yeah, but of course we understand the frustration, constant crashes, and multiplayer issues. That is something that's extremely frustrating, and we are working towards fixing it. It's just that in this case we can't really just release a hotfix for it.
Like it's like for us, it's heartbreaking, right? Because we have like we have an amazing QA team. They are great. And they test things like really well. They do a great job. But then it goes out to thousands of people, and like the difference between like what's installed on your PlayStation or like what setup your PC is on Steam and all of these sorts of things. Like there's just so much little variation, even on the consoles, that we get bug reports and we're like, we have no idea how to replicate this, right? And so that's why when we say like, if you're submitting bug reports, send us your save files, send us video of it happening, tell us exactly which PlayStation you have and which build number you were on and what you were doing at the time, because like the hardest thing is that there are thousands of people playing the game out there, and things might happen to your save file that never would have that have happened to you and have never happened to anyone else. So yeah, that's one of the toughest things about, especially when you're deploying to as large an audience as we are, and have a game that has had so much change to it over the time, over 4 years, 4.5 years.
4.5 years, yeah. Going on 5.
Yeah. So like having the fact that it's had so many changes to it over time means that every little change for each other person's system kind of, it's entropy that makes it really tricky to kind of be like, oh, the problem was that if you're playing on Steam and you also have this you have this particular version of the graphics driver that causes some weird chain reaction that mean that like ticks all now deliver Phoenix speech lines, and you're like, what? How is that possible? But it's these weird butterfly effects.
That's even not. That's not. That seems outrageous, but that's not even that exaggerated. Stuff like
Really?
this, it does happen.
I think I'm allowed to tell this story. It's not a problem for Avalanche. It might be a problem for me.
Oh well, then go
came to
ahead.
someone once came to a Star Stable, Halloween party.
I mean, you
dressed
didn't have to name the studio, but go ahead.
dressed as a cylinder.
Yes.
Because you couldn't put, because every time you put cylinders into Star Stable as a game, weird stuff would happen. Not like the game would crash. Weird things would happen. So like if you put if you used a cylinder so like there's a very big difference in games between cylinders and capsules. So a capsule is a cylinder with a rounded sphere on both ends. That's fine. That's easy. Like mathematically, that's a very simple shape. A cylinder is a much more complex shape for a computer. And sometimes you want to have for instance, whether or not you're close enough to an NPC to talk to them, right? That makes sense to do as a cylinder, right? It's a certain radius. Am I within the circle, right? And people learn very quickly at Star Stable that you either use a capsule or use a sphere, because if you use a cylinder, you might use a cylinder in one town for a collision, and then that creates an effect where if people walk too close to a tree in another town, they launch into the sky and lose all of their boots.
Oh Lord!
Right? Like those sorts of it's a thing that the Star Stable engine, again, because it's a game that has been live for a long time, kind of got haunted along the way. And so they have to work around that particular problem. And similarly, we have stuff in GZ where we're like, cool, we know not to do that, because over the course of the past 4.5 years, kind of got a bit haunted whenever we do this thing. Which is, that's part of the fun of game development.
Spontaneous. Adapting to the situation. We got to stretch. All right. The Twitch rewards are telling me to stretch. You are welcome to join if you want.
Cool. I'm gonna get some.
I haven't corrected my posture in a while.
I'm also hydrating, so I'm doing both.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that's it for this week's. Oh yes, hydrate as well. I'm just finishing my glass of water. That is it for this year's stream. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No more streams this year. We'll see you in 2024. No.
2024 confirmed. 2024 will happen.
Will there be experimental attachments? Okay, let's keep this one short because we do gotta end stream.
Or I don't think go have a look at the roadmap that we put out. It's definitely not that, but I think you'll be keen.
It's comparable. Yeah. Anyway, every so often I hear footsteps in game, but nothing is there. What is it? That is a disembodied machine sound. Sometimes dead machines keep making their idle sounds, and that might be it. It is something that I have actually flagged with Ash.
Yeah,
I have annoyed her about this.
No, this is that. It's actually, there's a really deep engine issue that means that this is a really hard one to fix, because basically it comes from a problem of when you we don't show the whole world at any given point in time, right? We only render, there are never machines more than 400, 500 meters away from you, right? We pause them, we put them on pause, we say, okay, cool, we'll load them out, and then we'll load them back in when you get near them again. And because of some of the way that the data storage works for the engine, sometimes when they come back in again, the sound thing, which is like a combination of like our engine and the sound engine that we use, which is a third-party thing, means that they load up in a state where they're like, cool, from a sound perspective, we're still alive, which is and it's just a thing that that is happens if like you move away from a dead thing at a particularly wrong time. There's no way that players can really predict what's going to cause it and when it's not, when it's going to happen and when it's not. And there are a bunch of bugs that are absolute like thorns in my side. The thing where like a live tick can push a dead tank around, and we just, to a certain degree, it can't be fixed, right? Like it like
physics.
They're just like, cool, in the sequel or in the like next game we build or in the fucking magical future where we have a huge budget, then we'll rewrite the entire engine, I guess. But
one day, yeah, that's a good example for, you know, and also a reinforcement to the point that we've been making. Design is a lot about finding balance between what can be done, what should be done, and what you want to do.
Yeah, we did fix a lot of bugs in this recent update. I'm pretty proud of us. So like,
me too, and I hope the players are as well.
I think people have responded pretty well so far. The only people that are angry at us at the moment are the people that are angry about the price hike on the PS Plus.
Yeah, well, that wasn't.
That's not an us thing. That's just that they're frustrated because no one has any money at the moment. So,
yeah. All right. Let's cut it off here. But it was a delight to have you on stream, Ash. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope to have you back on at some point in the future.
Yeah, I enjoy this. So I love getting to chat with people. So
all right. I hope everybody in chat had a good time and hopefully had their questions answered. If not, you can still post them to us on the Discord server, discord.gg/generation0. And we will get to you at some point there. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. All right.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Enjoy.